balance out their strength. If they're not given any gold, low strength will mean a struggle at the beginning, and it's always interesting to see how those struggles resolve themselves. And it looks like we're underway.
Yeah, strategies can vary widely based on what's in these first two chests. Let's see what's going on.
This evening, we are starting with gold and the death necklace, and I noticed that Game Boy didn't roll enough for the hand axe, and he's not resetting yet. So let's see what he thinks. It looks like he's not going to reset.
It's interesting that they're starting with heal more, which at the very beginning it's not that great, although they have quite a bit of MP and some hit points. So maybe they could have a long battle with a ghost or a magician here with a strength score of 6. The strength of 6 in particular is exactly the worst situation to fight a ghost. It's just one of those quirks, but if he happens to find a magician, he might be able to have a nice long fight. The ghost has the hurt spell, so he decides to run away.
Yeah, I thought he was going to stick it out because he had 3 hurt mores and a lot of HP, but he just wasn't getting any early hits in. So if he death warps again, which he might have to now that he's surrounded by swamp, no, he's going to keep going. But
it's funny, beeteas has the same situation with the ghost. It's when you have a strength of 5 against a Drakey and 6 against a ghost, and there's a couple other special ones as well, that you actually miss more than half the time in this situation. So this could be a very long battle if beeteas wants to stick this out. Looks like he's not giving up on it as quickly as Game Boy, and he's found an early cave here.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me that both players would at least give this a shot. The hurt spell makes it contentious, but they have so much range, and it all comes down to how many early hits they get.
I think it's Tablet Cave. So we have the silver harp already, and the harp cave is right next door. So they could trade that in immediately as soon as Game Boy walks his way all the way back out of here. When you walk through here with no torches and no radiant, and there's no enemies that can kill you, it's a little scary. I'm curious to see if beeteas will make the same walk that Game Boy's doing here. Looks like he's gonna pass.
Yeah. So, still presumably a lot of options in that home zone. I only saw a ghost from both players. BT is resetting. He did save with his high roll of gold. And this is the quickest way for him to restart, and he also gets to hold on to all his gold for the meantime.
Yeah, when you have a low strength score, that's one of the strategies, is you save so that when you reset you continue to have your gold here. And it looks like Game Boy is going to start over. So yeah, he's going to try for some more gold. As you mentioned, he didn't roll high enough for the hand axe. So he is going to, well, he didn't roll high enough again. You could sell this death necklace, but that's a little bit of a gamble because you might need it later on.
Yeah, and I imagine starting with 29 HP, that's not a thought entering into our racers' heads. But yeah, you see, Game Boy didn't save, and he still sees the value in restarting after a couple deaths. So now he has the gold, and he has the option to explore and hopefully find a town. We're finding caves everywhere. Game Boy finding 2 more.
Yeah, what that means, of course, is Game Boy no longer has the harp or the staff in his possession. He knows where they are now, and he can just round those up at any time along the way.
Now, it's been over 3 minutes, and BT is the first to strike. He found a red slime, and he's on the exploration to the west now as well. Game Boy is re-rolling again, and BT is checking out both of those caves. But after BT gets a red slime, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to look for more.
Oh, and in the 600s for Game Boy finally. I wonder if he'll save this time.
That would make sense.
And did you notice where the red slime was? Was it in the east-west zone, or is it way out in the overworld somewhere, like with these armored knights?
It appeared to be in the home zone just southwest of the castle, and again, I really only saw both of our runners encounter a ghost there before that red slime, and then they just left for exploration. I really wouldn't be surprised if they sort of hunker down in a few seconds if they don't find a town anywhere.
Yeah, it's always a little bit stressful. It's hard to know exactly how many minutes you want to spend looking for a town when you have this situation of gold on hand but no strength. And all they're finding is caves. They've found already 4 of the caves, I think, by my count. But quite a bit of space has been explored by PTs and no towns yet. So I think he's like, seems to be just kind of looping around now, maybe getting ready to start a grind.
Meanwhile,
at least he knows where the red slime is. I don't think Game Boy has seen one yet.
I think Game Boy just beat a normal slime. I just saw 1 experience pop up. We'll be able to see it here. As soon as the stats come up. There we go.
Yeah,
So yeah,
with those 2 experience points, BT's had taken a death and did not reset. Now he's taken a death again, so he's down into about 170 gold. And you can tell that both runners they value those first few experience points in a situation like this, choosing not to give it up to reset for the gold. If their town's not going to be really nearby, it's better to hang on to those precious few experience points sometimes.
BT has not given up, or sorry, Game Boy has not given up on the hunt for a town, and he found yet another cave. I don't think he even got to enter it. And meanwhile, finally, BT is pacing back and forth, and he found a Drakey, so that's 3 enemies that they can fight. Meanwhile, Game Boy finding a red slime, and it is time for both players to progress to level 2.
Yeah, there was an excellent move by BT's on the Drakey, and it's still not defeated yet. They do have the Heal More spell if they can remember back to the fact that they have that in their possession. It's been a while since they checked for spells, but he gets them. Level 2 for BT's.
And you can see a huge power gain there. Almost any power gain would have helped in this early situation. But of course, our players really wanted to go for the gold, the hand axe. But given that they haven't found a town, it is time to start grinding. And with that 14 power, BT can now very comfortably fight ghosts.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's only 5 experience points to get to level 2, and sometimes good things can happen at level 2. Like this power gain is almost as much as if you had bought a hand axe. Hand axe plus 15. They got 14 on that power up. So you know, and another thing that could happen is you could learn the hurt or the hurt more spells right away, and so you don't want to waste too much time looking for a town. But they did their due diligence, and they're settled in. And Game Boy now is on level 2 as well.
Having that sphere of places explored is going to help. Now you're going to see BT has what you might think is a commanding lead right now, but in reality it's just a minute or 2 of extra grinding. And because level 2 was such a breakout level, Game Boy is going to do the exact same thing right now, and our racers are virtually even still.
And Game Boy making use of the Heal More spell now. He remembers that he had it, and 12 points for the Magidrakey puts him to level 3. And we have another level for BT.
Another 9 power.
Oh, and there's the hurt spell, so that makes an interesting next group of enemies in play. If they venture out and find a wolf or you know, a wraith or something like that, you could start using that hurt spell as well.
Yeah, Zone 2 becomes nicely playable because they have so much HP, and Heal More is a bonus. The hurt spell will be stronger than their attacks against some enemies like wolves.
Yeah, so you can see BT doing just that. He's going away from the primary zone, which the strongest enemy in that zone would be a scorpion, as he's fighting here. And he's looking for slightly stronger enemies, like skeletons, as we see here, warlocks and wolves. The hurt spell, you can probably 2 to 3 hurt spells will take down the skeleton. You heal more up in between, and it's a quick trip to level 5. So nice tactics by BT, and Game Boy takes a death, and he's gonna try and keep pace here.
Yeah, Game Boy was gonna try and fight a warlock, and if he had had the hurt spell, it would have worked out fine. He's gonna get that pretty soon, though. This ghost will get him to level 4, as BT makes it to level 5.
Yeah, so now at what point along the way is BT going to venture out? Well, now he's going to try and go through the cave here. Is this the mountain cave, or oh no, it looks like Swamp South, and he's made it to the other side.
And that leads to a town, as well as Sharlock. Now, Game Boy has found a metal slime, and these moments are often race-changing. If he beats this metal slime, it can virtually lead to an absolutely commanding lead. I know he's hit it at least once so far.
Yeah,
and then it runs away after the second hit. That was really close.
Unfortunately, level 2 gave them 20 strength, and already the metal slime is able to run away. If they had found it at level 1, it would not be able to run away. But we have the front half of Garanham here for BT. If that cave had actually connected to Garanham, he would have been able to backdoor in for those 3 chests, but right now they are key blocked from doing so. So the next real thing that they're going to need to find soon is some keys to open this up for them.
Absolutely no keys for our racers yet. The keys Despite having a plethora of caves available, the keys will be the next key to unlocking places like the 3 chests in Garinham, the 1 in Remolder, the coordinates from Cantland, and a few other possibilities. Both players continue to find Zone 2 type enemies all over the place. Gameboy has also gone through the Swamp Cave and discovered Garinham. And we're gonna find out what's in this shop. I was curious about that. There is full plate as well as a broadsword and hand axe. Lots of grinding up options for weapons. And meanwhile, BT has found Remolder, so keys are not far off for either of our players.
Yeah, this is nice if, you know, and Game Boy is going to have to walk in the correct direction to get there. And so early keys for BT, and he has enough for just 1 key right now. So that's interesting, and there's not really any free gold treasure chests that they've found so far. So he's going to have to grind it up the old-fashioned way and try and get a few more.
And that has been working pretty well so far. As you can see, there's a metal scorpion right outside, and although they have breath, they are guaranteed to go down with 2 hurts. So BT has a good grind spot here, and if he can keep himself healed up as he reaches level 6 as well, he should be able to get enough money for a few keys, and that'll open everything up for him.
Unfortunately, the inn at Remolder is fairly expensive, but he has several heal more spells before he needs to do that. So if he can find another few decent enemies, remember they're actually in random zones. They just happen to be finding favorable monsters. But the Stone Man popping up, reminding us that danger lurks around the corner here. And Game Boy finds a few nice enemies as well, so he's almost... I think he's going in the correct direction for Remolder as well, isn't he?
Game Boy also, by the way, found another metal slime which ran away from, suggesting that there are a few all over the place, and that's another huge random factor. It looks like the Spectre is our first enemy with Dragon Lord Breath.
So this is kind of a bummer for Game Boy because he may not choose to go back through the Swamp Cave, and that's where Remolder is. So if he decides to explore the first continent now for a while, you know, depending on if he can find one in a chest, it could be a while before he happens to find keys. So, interesting break now for BT in this race.
Absolutely. Yet another game-breaking dynamic for this race, but it certainly doesn't mean necessary trouble for anyone. Game Boy could, for example, find a gold chest in a cave and use that to get a more powerful weapon, or he could find Erdrick's sword. There are all sorts of possibilities all over the map. Erdrick's armor is still out there. Many different factors that can change the race in either player's favor.
So among some minor items in the back door of Garinham, there is a gold chest, and we have the grave actually in the basement. But I was curious if you would consider kind of running back and forth to Remolder now, buying some more keys, and then, like, you know, raiding that gold chest a couple times. There's some decent equipment right there in the Garinham shop, like the broadsword, as you mentioned. So it's one possible tactic if you want to take a couple minutes to do that.
We certainly did that last night, although last night Garinham had 2 gold chests.
Oh my goodness.
Was it the sword?
Game Boy just found the sword in the bonus cave. Oh my gosh.
And just like that, what I said happens, and now both players have a dynamic imbalance, both of which are going to affect them differently, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. Game Boy will be able to come back on experience for a while, and in the meantime, BT is getting exploration, including through Garen's grave, and he may be able to set up a gold grind to at least get equalizing equipment.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I can't remember what Game Boy is going to get on, well, I guess we could see on BT's screen. At level 6, he's going to get just a few more hit points. He's right on the edge of being able to fight things like this Stone Man. He has the sword, but the attack power and the strength is still a little low. The hit points are a little low. So you can't quite go after endgame enemies yet, even though you have the sword. It's just a little bit more grinding to do. And meanwhile, BTs can fight medium range enemies with the hurt spell. So the advantage isn't quite that stark yet, but if Game Boy can get off this level and maybe get to level 7 pretty quickly, let's see, maybe the sword will start really helping him out.
BT also raiding the treasury and checking the downstairs cave. I think there's only one cave left that hasn't been found by either player. This has just been so many caves early on. And it looks like with an armored knight in the downstairs cave, which I can only assume is the mountain cave, not really an option there for BT just yet.
Red Dragons have Stop Spell, and he manages to run on just 30 agility, which is, by my fuzzy math, like a 1 in 6 chance from running from the Red Dragon, so gets to continue on his journey through this cave here.
When people in chat saw Erdrick's sword, they were saying, Game Boy luck. That appears to be a little bit more Game Boy luck running from that Red Dragon at level 6.
And do we have a glitch already initiated by BT here? Because we're going to see if there's any gold here in the treasury.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of it at the time, but BT death warped out of the grave, so he had the option, and it looks like there's no gold here. He's going to try the mountain cave again and try and find a gold chest. There's now a much better chance that one of those chests contains gold, so he's going to go for it.
And so is this the grave then that Game Boy is still in? So he's...
I actually think he's in Swamp North, but I can't tell for sure. It could be the grave.
See, this is a pretty good enemy normally with the sword, but it's turning into a bit of a longer battle, but it does have hurt, so I think Game Boy will get him. So these are big chunks of experience that he can get that BT is probably out of his range still, although he is going after the Rogue Scorpion. He can get it with 3 or 4 hurt spells sometimes, so... Interesting,
yeah,
the two different tactics at play here.
Absolutely. Game Boy has already caught up using his Erdrick sword. BT, on the other hand, has compensation in the exploration, particularly cave exploration, and of course having those keys. He's just desperately hoping to reach a chest with gold. If he doesn't have the outside spell, it might be difficult to hold on to the gold on the way out, but he'll give it a shot. Meanwhile, Game Boy arrested by an armored knight.
Yeah, and I can't remember what BT actually saw in the shops that he might be grinding for here. He does find a gold chest, a couple of gold chests, so he might take this opportunity while he's here, and, well, just enough maybe for a broadsword. That's all he saw so far, correct?
Yeah, definitely surprised that he didn't take more. You know, he could have gotten 9,000 death warped and bought a broadsword and full plate or something like that.
And this is an issue too. He's going to lose half of it with this death too, so not even broadsword money any longer.
Yeah. And I'm not at all surprised. He's going straight back in.
Yeah, he hasn't seen that 5th chest yet anyways, so he's got some exploring to do. And, you know, maybe pick up some gold while he's at it. He's going to top off on some keys finally.
You see Game Boy taking a pause there. He obviously recalled that Spectres have Dragon Lord Breath and decided that it wasn't worth the risk. Meanwhile, he finds a Wraith afterwards, and that'll boost up his experience. BT has many favorable enemies that can get him, including a Magiwyvern, but he's going to run from that one. Maybe he was worried about taking too much damage, but he's basically one enemy away from the equalizing level 7.
So the Wraith has the surprise Dragon Lord Breath as well, so Game Boy has gone back to the... He's careful about not fighting the other enemy, he runs away. Now he takes on a couple of Wraiths and gets sent back anyways, so it happens.
Plenty of difficulty all over the map, and we're no stranger to that possibility. BT is going for the 2 new chests first, and it looks like he's going to try and hurt the Wraith, so it all comes down to whether or not it uses that breath attack. Looks like he's got to land 2 more hurts. And again, it did not, so he's probably going to get it here. He chooses to fight, unfortunately, but the Wraith also has Stop Spell, and so he's going to get it on the next attack. Meanwhile, BT running into... or sorry, Game Boy running into yet another Red Dragon. Fortunately, they have Stop Spell, and... it looks like Game Boy's trying to defeat this monster, which I guess makes sense, because if he can Stop Spell, the Red Dragon is going to continuously Stop Spell, and Game Boy can chip away at it and heal more when necessary.
Oh, but the Red Dragon wins the Stop Spell battle, and then another surprise Dragon Lord Breath. We got a lot of 25% breaths going on. It's just like, oh, surprise!
BT has finished off finding all the chests. The last one said Harp Knight. It was either a torch, herb, or key, I think. But now I imagine he's going to go back up to those gold chests and have a relatively short walk to the exit. He just might be able to take full gold out of here.
I actually kind of liked that gamble by Game Boy there because they still only have 31 agility, so it's very, very hard to run from a red dragon at this point. And if he could have gotten him, it would have really been a huge boost. He's only at 409 right now, so red dragon worth 255 would have been fantastic. But this Magic Wyvern seems to be a perfect enemy right now, spamming the hurt spell, and excellent move. Down he goes for 83.
So BT has a full access to the gold grind. I imagine he's going to get 32,300, but it's anybody's guess. I've seen BT take a lot of different lines in situations like this, but he knows that weapons and defense are going to be very important in these early stages when you don't have hurt more and you're finding enemies that are kind of difficult to contend with. Meanwhile, Game Boy has found Remolder, and this is pretty huge for him, because that was the one area in which he was behind. This will allow him to explore those caves that he hasn't seen yet.
Yeah, this feels like Game Boy just took a pretty decent lead with this discovery. He's going to be able to do a lot of the same tasks that BT is able to and has recently done. But meanwhile, I'm just not sure if BT has actually seen some really good equipment. He is getting all the money, so it's a little bit of a gamble right now. They don't have, full survivability. They have the Heal More spell to keep them alive a little bit, but they cannot withstand even one Dragon Lord breath right now with this hit point total. So, getting all the gold and, running into enemies like this Armored Knight here. So it's kind of nasty. If it works out, he could get some nice equipment, but no, he's going to lose half of that gold. So that's
a little under the total for a silver shield, but again, I don't think he's seen one either. I imagine he'll just take the full plate and broadsword and be happy with what he's found. He is saving here so that he can hold on to the gold. He knows nothing is safe out there. And he'll take whatever's available and then use his resources to gain some gold the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, here's that shop that we saw previously in Garenham. As you mentioned, broadsword and full plate available there. So if he wants to just retrace steps and go back to the shop that he's already seen, that's some pretty decent mid-game equipment. And then, if he loses the rest of that gold, it probably wouldn't bother him too much. And now it looks like he's going to take care of that errand. I guess he had not come in here before the way Game Boy did. So Game Boy knows the harp is in here, saving it for later. I don't think BT knows that yet, so he's going to grab the harp and perhaps trade it in for the staff right away as well.
Right, my guess was BT didn't want to do the cave in the dark, and now with a torch, of course he's perfectly comfortable. So he has the harp now. So yeah, Game Boy did not take as big a lead as I expected with Erdrick's sword. He ran into a lot of bad luck with the fire-breathing enemies. So our players are not very far apart, but it is easy to say that now that Game Boy has keys, he's ready to take a bit of a lead. But again, you never know when BT will find that other sword after armoring up, and then things will be very equal.
I was just going to say, if he happens to go back towards where he saw that shop, which was in Garenham, which is on the second continent, that I think takes him further away from the sword, because I think that Game Boy found that on the first continent, although it's hard to keep track where they are. But so it'd be interesting, just what direction does he happen to explore? Is he going to happen upon the Stones Cave, which has the sword just laying there for him?
So BT picking up the Staff of Rain, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes next. I imagine it's shopping and exploration time. He still has that gold. He might be hoping to find a new town in the closest area that he hasn't explored yet, in the hopes of finding better equipment, but we'll see. Meanwhile, Game Boy finding an Axe Knight in the dark, which has weak breath, which is much better for an Erdrick sword situation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was actually a little curious, because he found a green dragon, and now he found an Axe Knight, and I don't know if he has seen their abilities already. I was kind of wondering if he would go after these enemies, but having no defensive equipment and only 62 hit points, I suppose he just figures he can't withstand 2 attacks reliably right now against enemies like that. So he was running from that green dragon before. I thought maybe he would go after it, but we saw what happened when he tried the Axe Knight, so
Yeah, amazingly, he took 40 damage from an Axe Knight, and he must be sweating now because he's taken a lot of deaths despite everything that he has. He knows he has to set up a gold grind, and it looks like that's what he's trying to do right now. Unfortunately for him, he did not check the treasury first, so he's going straight into the mountain cave, and he's going to discover after he comes out that there's no gold out there, and he's going to have to reset it by doing the grind the way BT did.
Alright, here we have BT at the shop, so is he passing on this equipment right now? What is happening? He's looking for the silver shield first and foremost, it looks like. Doesn't want to spend the money.
There is another town here, and I guess this is probably Remolder, but this is a scary decision, in my opinion. I think the full plate would help a lot, and I also think that it's easy to recover that money, you know, once you have survivability on your side.
Well, and he also doesn't have Hurt More yet, so like the broadsword would be pretty good as well at this point. You don't know when you're going to get Hurt More, so... yeah, so that is interesting. I don't recall what's in this shop if he ever checked it, but he's going to take care of this chest over here, and then probably check the shop.
Another Fire Breath from a Wraith on Game Boy's side, yet another death. He's got to be worried. Meanwhile, yeah, I just imagine that BT, maybe he didn't check this shop before and he wants to see his options before he commits. He might want to see if there's magic armor. He does get the large shield, which is a great addition to that full plate option. I imagine he's going to go straight back to Grinham right now, after healing.
And we have Game Boy attempting a gold grind as well, which we know there's no gold in the treasury here. And did he do it the other way around? He already cleared out the chests in the mountain cave, so he would have to reset the whole thing, right? In order to... maybe I saw that wrong.
My guess based on... Wow, Droll Magis have Fire Breath too, that's 4. My guess based on what I'm seeing is that Game Boy died out of something like Garen's Grave. He did not open all the chests in the mountain cave, so my guess is he's going back to the mountain cave to open those other chests, and he will find those gold chests and set up a grind that way.
And I thought that BT might go ahead and save right there because he still has broadsword and full plate money, even after giving away half that gold, but no, he's just heading in a different direction. Oh, and this, I think, is the Stones Cave. This is huge for BT.
An amazing break for BT. He now has all the offensive capability, minus Hurt More, of course, but neither player has that. He can swipe at a lot of extra possibilities, and now it's just a matter of... I mean, the large shield is going to help him a lot, and he does have chainmail at the very least, so he's got a lot more flexibility. Meanwhile, Game Boy finally reaching level 8.
Yeah, finally is right.
Moderate gains.
Finally is right, because I'd have to go back and see how many minutes he had the sword that BT didn't have it, but he only amassed about a 200 experience lead in the process. So interesting, just he was not able to defeat, you know, a lot of the enemies that he ran into, even though he had the sword. He keeps running into red dragons and axe knights and green dragons. They just don't have the hit points for that yet.
BT finding Brecconary and of course going straight to the shop to see his options. Doesn't need the flame sword anymore. He is attempting to buy chainmail to overwrite his chainmail, but realizing that he already has it, he can cancel out and leave. So yeah, it was easy to say that with Erdrick's sword, BT's gonna get a huge lead, but he just, you know, he found a lot of enemies that weren't cooperating, and now just like that, BT has the sword, and we have a real race here. A Game Boy with about 150 experience lead, BT with a little bit more cave exploration already completed. It could come down to overworld exploration, and there's a lot more race to go.
Yeah, what's interesting about this, the gold grind that seems to be deteriorating for BT here is now that he found the sword, the armor is kind of the least important thing, because eventually you're going to find Erdrick's armor. And, you know, he already now picked up a large shield. We've seen about half the shops. I don't recall even seeing a silver shield yet, so he just may not bother buying any more equipment. He may just wait until he finds Erdrick's armor, and he's just going to make progress through the seed now. And we have Game Boy, meanwhile, is going to grind up some money. He has no defensive equipment right now, so I'm not sure exactly what he has seen, which shops he's checked, but he's getting a whole lot of money just in case.
BT is trying to finish off an Armored Knight. Based on the damage he's doing, I'm not sure if he's going to win. He only has 2 heal mores left, and unfortunately a 41 from the Armored Knight. It is still possible with this super low agility for enemies to do a lot of damage, despite the fact that we've already seen some armor gains.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would think usually with the chainmail and the large shield that 41 wouldn't have been possible there. It does have to do with this low agility. They are still only in the middle levels here. Sometimes it's just tough to get off these levels 6, 7, and 8. It kind of they bog you down. I'll be interested to see if any of them just pause what they're doing and just grind another level, because you want to get off these levels pretty quickly if you can. Right now they don't have hurt more, and you know they're a little bit low on hit points with a lot of Dragon Lord 2 enemies out there. So they're just taking a lot of deaths and not making as rapid progress as you might expect. We're 30 minutes into the seed here on levels 7 and 8.
Now, for those of you who are wondering why Game Boy got so much extra gold, remember he already has Erdrick's sword, and he was worried about the enemies in the mountain cave. His goal is to death warp out of here and have 18,000 gold left, which is enough for the full plate and the silver shield, which is basically the max of what he wants. He knows that he doesn't need magic armor, and he knows Erdrick's armor is coming later. He's seen full plate, so that's his main target. Full plate plus the silver shield money in case he finds a shop that has it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about protecting himself in case of a death there. At first glance, it might seem like he forgot that he already has the sword, you know, and he's grinding up flame sword and money. But no, he's actually just getting double what he needs. Takes maybe an extra 30 or 40 seconds to do that, and then he can take a death at any point and still have all the money he needs for the equipment. Interesting play.
And he is finding some great enemies in this cave, but he's not lengthening the experience lead. It's still just a little bit over 100. BT continues to find good enemies as well, and it looks like BT will be moving on to some more overworld exploration. He is continuing to go through the swamp cave at every opportunity, and he's going to take advantage of these rogue scorpions on the way. Of course, an absolutely fabulous enemy to encounter with Erdrick's sword at these low levels.
Yeah, so now that they're making some progress and they both have keys and they're starting to get off these levels here, one of the things I don't think we've seen any of are the search spots. So we haven't found the token and we don't have the armor, and there's 3 different search spots out there and we have not seen any of them yet. Hawksness, Cole, and Cantlin still all out there to be discovered.
So another death from Game Boy as BT continues to push on through the swamp cave. Both players continue to be close in experience, and with Game Boy's death warp, with his death, he is going to save to try and preserve the gold. And I imagine he's going to go straight after that full plate and then just keep exploring, hoping to find a town with a silver shield. BT, of course, getting another rogue scorpion, keeping that experience lead from Game Boy very narrow. Still, anything can happen at this point. I doubt BT's gonna check the spike tile just yet.
Yeah, I know for sure that we saw at least 1 cursed belt. I'm not sure that any of the runners have found 2 of them, but it makes it a little bit more likely that the token's going to be on one of the search spots. We haven't found any of them yet. We've seen a cursed belt. But they are just kind of clearing the caves. It seems like they're finding all the caves in this seed. They're not finding so many towns.
Is that how it works? Is the token guaranteed to replace a cursed belt?
That's my understanding, yeah. It's if the token is in a chest, it replaces one of the cursed belts, and if the flute is in a chest, it replaces the other one. That's my understanding, so you can kind of track.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic to know. I appreciate that.
There you go. So sometimes it actually can save you a trip into somewhere if you know that the token has to be on a search spot or something like that. So anyways, he has made it to this shop with, you know, the full plate is here. So he'll grab that. That really boosts his defense because he had nothing. So now he has Erdrick's sword and full plate. And just like you said, just going to kind of hope for the silver shield out there somewhere.
It is kind of fascinating that essentially both players just need to explore at this point, and neither has found any of the 3 spots that could contain the armor. It's going to be really interesting how exploration plays into this. Game Boy still with a slight experience lead, BT still with a slight exploration lead, and Game Boy finding at least his 3rd metal slime, hoping against hope that it will stick around, but it did run away once again.
So it looks like Game Boy never checked this shop, so he'll probably pick up the large shield here. Oh, it looks like he knew it was there, so he's going to grab that, just in case he doesn't find the silver shield. He's pretty much good to go on equipment right now. It would be great to find the silver shield in a low agility seed. That can come into play in a number of ways down the road. But you never know, they could just get some big agility gains along the way as well. They're still only on level 8.
BT finding yet another fantastic Erdrick Sword enemy, which is totally fightable, the Wraith Knight. And he's found a second one in the same desert, which is going to propel him to level 9 at this point. So he's going to retake the experience lead, and we're going to see what level 9 has to offer. Hurtmore is still on the table, and it would still be a huge spell to get. 11 power and 9 response speed, 29 HP, 19 MP. No spells, but a huge stat gain all around is very helpful. And Game Boy is also going to get that level very shortly.
Yeah, I think we'll find that the hit points is a really big thing there. All of a sudden now you can fight these werewolves and green dragons and axe knights without worrying that you're going to get 2-shot by them because you don't have the HP. You have the heal more spell, you have Erdrick Sword, you can, unless they have the sleep spell or something, you can survive now against a lot of endgame enemies. So the 29 hit point gain there is pretty big.
Absolutely, no 2-shots, no worries about Dragon Lord Breath from the first attack, and there's a lot more value from Heal More as well. It means 2 attacks instead of just 1. Definitely a huge factor, and Game Boy continuing to fight with this werewolf. He finally defeated it, and he's on his way to level 9.
And neither runner has really found a nice sweet spot in a desert anywhere that they want to just sit and grind. I guess they're over the hump now, so they're just going to move on. So it's interesting. No mid-game grinding. They're both furiously exploring the map, trying to get everything located as quickly as possible. And here we have Hawksness, which BT just makes a note of and exits immediately.
So we already saw the 3 towns that don't have one of the potential for Erdrick's armor or token. So that had to be one of them, and unfortunately it was Hawksness, one that BT cannot make use of given that he has no MP at the moment. So he's going to make a note of where it is and either heal someplace nearby or hope that he finds Cole or Cantlin very soon, both of which would be very helpful. Meanwhile, he has retaken the experience lead. Anything can happen when both players have Erdrick's Sword, and finding this Magiwyvern only sweetens the deal. Game Boy is fighting a blue dragon, which has sleep, and I've seen Game Boy stop spell a few enemies already. This is working really well. The blue dragon is worth 180, one of the best enemies to fight, and just like that, experience is virtually equal.
Yeah, the one stat that is a little bit randomized is the stop spell resistance for the enemy. So the more often he does that against the same enemy, he'll kind of take a sample and try to determine if it has low resistance or high resistance. If a blue dragon is on the Hawksness square, for example, it would be really valuable to know how much resistance it has, because the sleep spell is really dangerous, but if it has no resistance to stop spell, all of a sudden that becomes a really nice grind. So, and here's another search spot here, Town of Cole for Game Boy.
No silver shield found. Next he will check the search spot, and it contains Erdrick's token. I don't think either player has the Stones of Sunlight yet, so that'll be one of the last things to find for the Rainbow Drop. And thinking about where they've been, I'm not sure if anyone's been to the bottom of the grave yet or not, but there's kind of a shortage of places that can have chests anymore, so I'm thinking it's going to be at the bottom of the grave.
Yeah, do you recall where we saw the Rainbow Drop cave? Was that in one of the basements?
I think it was close to home, so it was probably one of those 2 western caves.
Oh, yes, okay. Because I was trying to think if, for some reason, Game Boy has not bothered to go back in and get the harp. And sometimes you kind of want, to take care of those errands early, because if you happen to get the 3rd quest item and then you happen upon the Rainbow Drop cave in your travels, you want to be able to do that while you're there, But if he knows the Rainbow Drop cave is very convenient, then none of that matters. He'll just do it all at the end.
Absolutely. He could have already made the decision consciously to leave that toward the end. It looks like BT is very close to level 10 now. Again, both players virtually keeping totally even with experience. Unfortunately, BT has no energy left to handle this Magiwyvern, so he's going to have to be sent back and wait a little bit to reach level 10.
Yeah, if you're going to take an overworld death, it's good to use all the resources and that you can, I suppose. And you know, get every last drop of experience out of it. Although I'm sure he wishes he could have found a town before taking that death. But they're both very close to level 10. This is a very close race.
And both players trying to squeeze out every advantage they can. We just saw BT with 95 MP casting the return spell to get out of home. He really doesn't need all that extra MP right now. And so just a tiny little thing to gain a little bit of extra time. And he did not learn Hurt More. He's casting outside now to get through the Swamp Cave, which is another nice convenience.
And here's our ticket to the third search spot, is whether or not this old man here has some coordinates for us. Game Boy gonna refresh some keys first, and maybe check for the shield in all the shops.
Yeah, he's held onto the gold all this time, so it's still an option for him. Let's see what's in shop number 2, as BT will probably defeat this Armored Knight and take a momentary experience lead.
So I was just kind of going through my notes here, and I think we've seen all the chests in Tantegel and Garenham, and the one in Rimeldar. We've also seen the Tablet Cave and the Stones Cave. So there's not too many places that the Stones of Sunlight can be now, so they're just looking for that last location, the last major dungeon.
Yeah, given that BT has been all the way through the mountain cave, I think I have to be correct. I think that neither player's gone to the bottom of the grave, and I think it has to be there. The coordinates are 100 south and 2 west, because there isn't room for the word west, now that we had 100 in the first number. But everything works out okay. 100 south, 2 west.
So I've seen Game Boy do some really crazy counts without getting the princess. I'll be curious to see if he attempts this one. They could end up being on the second continent. I haven't really tracked the geography here too well, and if that's the case, it's more likely that he'll get the princess, but you never know. These guys are really good at counting these coordinates.
Yeah, I found that's one of the harder things to gauge as a viewer/commentator rather than as a player, whether or not the coordinates are on the second continent, and especially since they've been going through the Swamp Cave so early so often. I imagine if Game Boy knows that it's on the second continent, I imagine he'll go straight for the princess, and if the armor is in that spot, then we'll see how that benefits him, as BT also finds coal and is able to use it as a heal spot and finds the token.
Yeah, so neither player finding the armor. There's 2 locations left, and BT has knowledge about Hawksness, and Game Boy has knowledge of the coordinates. So, you know, that could take them in different directions, potentially, and which one is the armor going to be at? We'll see.
Yeah, so with no Hurt More, there's no guarantee that whatever's in Hawksness will be a quick battle. I imagine with Heal More, anything is beatable now. But we'll just have to see how that goes and how long it takes BT to get there.
Yeah,
if it's just the flute...
So yeah, I was just going to say, since we haven't seen the flute yet, then the fact that we have coordinates doesn't necessarily mean that the armor's there. That could be the flute, and the armor could be at Hawksness, or vice versa.
So many possibilities. Oh wow, BT took a shot after taking Fire Breath, and it wasn't enough damage to beat the Red Dragon, so he's going to be sent back, and Game Boy is going to narrow the experience lead even more as he continues his exploration.
Yeah, the other possibility is that Hawksness has nothing, and the flute can be in a chest still, including in a chest within Charlotte Castle, I believe, so... but yeah, I don't believe Game Boy has found Hawksness yet. I feel like he might be going in the right direction for it, though.
I've seen the flute in Charlotte before. Obviously, most of us who have played a lot of races are going to see pretty much every possibility. Any chest that it's possible for something to occur in, we've probably seen it by now. And yet still, there are so many possibilities for these seeds, so many things we've never seen before.
So I don't remember seeing this wizard yet. It has the small breath, and with that Heal More spell and the sword, able to just outlast it. So that's a pretty decent 120 experience point. So they're starting to gain experience more rapidly now as they progress, and BT is now going to take a shot at this Hawksness boss tile.
Interesting to see what's here. In the meantime, finding a druid in Approach, which is really helpful too. As long as fightable enemies continue to be everywhere, this is going to be a really beneficial path. So let's see what that Hawksness enemy is.
Yeah, in all these trips through Swamp Cave, neither enemy has checked that boss tile yet, although with these coordinates we might see Princess Rescues. But this one is going to have the Red Dragon with Stop Spell. Unfortunately, it immediately blocks BT's spell. Manages to run with 52 agility, which is no easy task. He's going to take another crack at it, I believe.
Yeah, I like the idea of healing up and trying again. If he can nail that stop spell, he can just heal more every time the Red Dragon breathes fire, and he should be able to defeat it. We saw he did 31 damage before, so if it takes 4 attacks, that's fine. He'll be able to beat it.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move once his spell was blocked to try and get out of that fight, because then the Red Dragon no longer will cast Stop Spell. It's part of their logic.
Now, I'm guessing BT is trying to gain the 2175 level now experience away from before he tries this battle again. He knows there are Druid Lords here, and this Druid Lord will put him over the top, so let's see if level 11 helps him.
Yeah, I think Rogue Scorpions as well. This is not a bad little grind spot here, this desert tile. And here we go.
20 HP is absolutely helpful. And we see that our players are now 2 experience points apart at this point, both reaching level 11 nearly.
Yeah, so you remember the item that they found in the very first 5 seconds of the game was the Death Necklace. We're starting to see that this might be valuable later on here. We already have 118 max HP for BT, so if we get some more hit points along the way, Death Necklace could easily be in play now.
So the Fairy Flute is there, which means the armor is on the map in the coordinate spot. BT will be feverishly looking for Cantlin. And yeah, I was just noting that while our players have pretty high strength, they have pretty low agility, so there is a chance that they might need an extra level for a little bit more certainty and agility, and in the process they might get the HP to be able to use the Death Necklace. They are very close, closer in fact in HP than in strength. If they were both to grow equally, we would reach Death Necklace equilibrium before the amount of strength required to beat the Dragon. So I think this will be a Death Necklace seed.
Yeah, and it's possible that we don't need too many more levels either, because we're already in the green according to our tracker for MP. We're sitting on 12 heal mores for a Dragon Lord fight right now, so you don't need very outrageous attack power to take advantage of that. And with the Death Necklace, that gives you 10 more attack power. So yeah, if the next level gives you a whole bunch more hit points, we're starting to get close already.
And we see the landscape of combat change immediately as both players learn Hurtmore at level 11, and all of a sudden there are tons of Hurtmoreable enemies everywhere. BT taking a swing at that Magiwyvern and it heal-mored, and so he realized that Hurtmore is now the best choice.
So I think we might have a Princess play here by Game Boy 102. It perhaps is on the second continent, and 102, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna go check in there. Red Dragon's in this cave as well, wow. That Dragon Lord breath is fierce when you don't have the armor, so he wants to get to those coordinates so he can get that armor.
This is going to be interesting. He has a lead on the coordinate, knowing, having BT continuing to explore, and that might be the last thing he needs to find. Eventually, both players are going to have to circle back to the grave for that Stones of Sunlight, and it's going to be interesting how that affects things in the late game. BT has already reached level 12, and this Red Dragon is going to put Game Boy just an inch away from it as well.
Yeah, I feel like they've both actually made a priority of finding the search spots and getting the armor, because I have a feeling that they've both seen all the chests now. I think they may know that the stones are in the bottom of the grave. They just haven't gone back there yet, because I can't recall any chests that either of them are missing at this point. They've both seen, you know, the Stones Cave and the Tablet Cave, and, you know, the ones that are in all the towns and stuff, so I think they just both are trying to find the armor first.
BT finding another dead end that kind of looked like South America. He's going to head on out of there and continue to explore. Not paying attention to any swamps, which is fine, because with so much HP and MP, all you want to do is be thorough with your exploration, not worry if there's a town in a big vast field of swamp, and we find those vast fields all the time, so it's important to make sure.
Game Boy going for this spike tile again, and again meets a red dragon before getting to the boss tile, trying to rescue this princess. So this has not been a very easy task to get this princess so far. He's gonna go with the stop spell strat. He wins the stop spell war, and he has a pretty good chance now at this one.
Very interesting. Red dragons are definitely going to be a good grind enemy, but of course with low agility, there's always the chance they could attack first and land a stop spell, ending your hopes of defeating them.
Now, we saw Red Dragon Hawksness as well, correct? So,
yes.
So if they had to choose between the two, I would think you'd want to come over here to the Swamp Cave. It's right near Charlotte Castle, and it's fairly close to, you know, the Rainbow Drop Cave and all that for Game Boy.
Both players at level 12 now, and I don't think there's anything else for Game Boy left to explore, so once he battles through and is victorious in his quest for the princess, he'll just head for the armor and then grind and, of course, get the Stones of Sunlight eventually. The one missing link here is how long it will take BT to find Cantlin, and I'm not sure where it is on the map. I honestly have no idea if he's heading in the right direction or not, but he's just going to keep exploring in places he hasn't seen yet and hopefully find it soon.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't think they even have the repel spell. So, some of these, when you need that one last thing, if you don't have repel, it just could be infuriating. You just get bombarded by weak enemies, slowing you down. And meanwhile, Game Boy, on the flip side, I believe, never really has to look for Hawksness for any real reason. If he, you know, goes ahead and gets the coordinates and sees that it's the armor. So, you know, and he already knows that there's a red dragon available to grind in the Swamp Cave. He may not bother even looking for Hawksness at this point.
That's a good point. Yeah, I really don't remember what Cantlin looked like at all on the world map. I have no idea where it is. BT continuing to explore, this time on the right edge, as Game Boy returns the princess and prepares to get Gwaelin's love. I imagine she'll steal away a torch, yeah. That usually happens. They need to make space for Gwaelin's love in the inventory. So the princess will take away a low-costing item for you, the least expensive item that you have in your inventory besides herbs.
Yeah, and this, to me, marks a pretty significant advantage for Game Boy. He's, you know, as we can see, the experience lead is basically even still. It's within a couple hundred either way. But I feel like Game Boy is on pace to reach the point where he's doing a dedicated grind a little bit faster. I think he's going to be ready to do that a bit earlier. But we do have Cantlin now for BT, so it's
Just
not that
like
big of a lead. Maybe a minute or two.
So yeah, BT with a slight experience lead, Game Boy with a slight distance lead. And I guess, judging by the gold, and of course the tracker hasn't been updated for a silver shield, it looks like there hasn't been a silver shield found anywhere, so that option may be off the table. And this is going to come down to be a very close race if the circumstances stay the same.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there's no silver shield and they don't get some more agility, this is ugly in terms of running from enemies and in terms of, you know, not defense breaking any Charlock enemies and taking considerable damage from enemies in Charlock and from the Dragon Lord himself. It's, you know, it's tough to force yourself to get an extra level in that case, but I don't know, depending on what's in there, this could be an ugly dive.
This is going to bring us back to what I was saying earlier. If it just so happens the players have an advantage over the Dragon Lord, fairly slight advantage, and the agility is around this low, they might just make the decision to grind an extra level, just to give themselves a better chance of either getting through running away from everything, or to have a couple extra heal mores so that they can afford to burn a couple extra on the way down. Yet another Metal Slime running away from Game Boy. Still no Metal Slime log. I don't know if BT has even seen one the entire race.
Yeah, just for fun, if nothing changed with the agility score and they got to the Dragon Lord, I believe they could take 54 damage from a physical attack right now.
Amazing.
I don't think I've ever even seen that situation come up in a tournament race, so that could be tricky. And BT is going for the princess now, so yeah, just a minute or two ahead in terms of getting all these things done is Game Boy.
And BT's getting fairly lucky by the fact that there are plenty of good things to fight along the way, so he is keeping fairly even with experience along the way. Let's see how close they are. Still just like 160 apart or so. Absolutely amazing. And of course, the Armored Knight is going to continue to leave BT slightly in the lead as he prepares to catch up for the armor.
So of course they will gain, I guess it's 4 additional defense points by upgrading to Erdrick's armor. But it'll still put them in the low 70s right now. Oh my goodness! What is happening here for Game Boy? He's going with the early death necklace.
Oh, he did put it on. Wow.
This is fantastic. Oh my gosh. So that last level up put him up to 140 max HP. And Game Boy said, you know what? Let's do it.
I'm trying to figure out why he did this. I'm not really sure. Both players have hurt more. There are great enemies everywhere.
I think it's the Red Dragon grind that's coming up.
I mean, you know, that's a point, but at the same time, I think he was already strong enough to... Oh, wait, yeah, no, he has Erdrick's sword. He was pretty much already strong enough to 3 or 4 shot them. I don't know if he's going to get enough advantage out of this death necklace. I think he's going to be in a little trouble on the way through Sharlock with that, you know, the little bit of less HP. I mean, it's not going to help. The agility's so low, I'm just so nervous about this decision.
Oh, it's quite a lot less HP, for sure. And when you, like you said, if you don't have agility, you fail a couple of runs, all of a sudden, you know, that's 1 less run attempt that you get, basically, before you have to use the heal more. Yeah. So if you're, let's say, 50-50 to run from an Armored Knight or something, you know, failing to run twice is a lot more common than failing to run 3 times. So it's... Ugh. Well, and he is going to go check the Hawksness spike tile anyways. I guess he hasn't picked up the armor, so, you know, in his mind the armor could still be here. He happens to be here, so he's going to go for it.
So from here, yeah, BT is just checking his coordinates. He has to go way north from where he is. I'm not sure. It doesn't say that Game Boy has gotten the armor. I think he's grinding first before he goes to look, but I'm not sure.
He had used Gwaelin's Love a couple times, and he was like making his way south because it's way to the south. But I think he just hasn't found it yet, and he just happened to find Hawksness. So that's the way I'm seeing it. And it's interesting because without the armor, this Red Dragon is just so much more difficult with this Dragon Lord breath. But I think he'll get him at least once just to see if the armor's here. And of course.
Oh, that's what it is. He hadn't searched here yet. That makes perfect sense. So now he'll go and get the armor, I assume.
Yeah, I think he's in the general area now. He's made his way pretty far south on this second continent now.
And BT is the first to go into the grave, also having not gone for the armor yet. And this is something that both players are going to have to do. It's great that BT's getting it out of the way, given that he was so close to the grave already. This is going to help his chances a lot. We are definitely seeing a high-quality race here with a lot of chances for a close finish. I have no idea what's going to happen at this point, but I am very excited to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, and we could have a situation where, you know, BT, for example, might go ahead and grab the Rainbow Drop and, like, head into Sharlock and see if he can do some kind of grinding in there. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with the Dragon Lord Breath from the Red Dragon. So, you know, trying to get the Rainbow Drop items together as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
My initial reaction is to say that because their strength is already so high, they'll probably just assume they only need 1 or 2 more levels and fight for Red Dragons. But on the other hand, their agility, again, it's so low, and that creates a risk factor. And it's, you know, it's not the clearest thing. It's always possible to take a look at Sharlock and gauge what kind of enemies are at least on the top floor. But we'll see. BT finally finds a metal slime, but I don't think killed one yet.
Yeah, in theory, I think we'd need about 6 more power for Game Boy to really be in the conversation for a Dragon Lord fight. And as we know, that doesn't necessarily have to come anytime soon on these level ups, or it could just happen on the very next level. So everything else is basically there, even though it all looks kind of orange in our tracker. You know, agility, even though it's really nasty, it's sort of optional when it comes to Dragon Lord fights. The HP is there. And, you know, he's got plenty of MP, he just needs, you know, about 6 more power. And the more the better, obviously, because if you have more power than you need, then you can burn some heal mores on the way down. which they might have to do with this low agility. So
I gotta admit, I'm a little worried about Game Boy right now. It looks like he's exploring for something. He went into an area that he hadn't seen before, and he saw that it was a dead end and left. Unless he's trying to find a path to where the armor is, I'm kind of worried maybe he thinks there's a cave he hasn't found that has those stones of sunlight. But again, I'm not sure yet if he just doesn't have a clear path to the armor yet. He is going around into the south, so maybe I'm jumping to conclusions too early. There's the Game Boy now in the area that I said looks like South America a little bit.
yeah, and slowly but surely he's getting a little low on MP, so I think he's almost there, but gotta be a little bit careful not to die before getting the armor. It seems like a very long walk to get it, and you don't want to have to do this all over again.
BT making use of a golem. It looks like this is a fine fight for him to engage in, and that's another 255 experience. I imagine both players are searching for that armor spot right now. It is a far walk, and this continent appears to be pretty vast, so who knows how long it'll be before they find the right path.
So interesting, about 10 minutes ago when Game Boy got the princess, I felt like he had a pretty good advantage, but now I feel like BT has the stones and has the princess and is on his way, and Game Boy, for whatever reason, has not been able to locate the armor. This has been kind of a long adventure with the GPS, and he's getting low on MP here too, so wow.
And BT, I don't think he realizes he's gonna have to go way to the east. He's getting down south, but he needs to go way, way east, and I'm sure he'll figure that out here once the east direction widens instead of narrows.
Yeah, and we're not even close to far enough south for Game Boy. Again, he's been forced to kind of come back up, and maybe he'll take an in-stop here on the way. But, is this map something where it seemed like you could go, you know, kind of to the southwest, but then you have to come all the way up and, like, all the way around somehow to actually get to, you know, it's like, maybe it's a really unusual walk, and they're both struggling with it.
It looks like BT's going the right way. I saw that he needed to go like 60.
Oh man, they're right behind each other. There's the same town Game Boy just stopped in.
Yeah. Now Game Boy's going north, not finding a way through there. I'm so curious how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, and BT having the stones in his possession is looking like it's more and more of an advantage now, because the experience gap has not widened in any way for Game Boy while he was doing that. So...
Absolutely, and you saw there, BT searched the coordinates, and it was like 50 south of where he was. So he knows he's got to wind his way around a body of water or a landmass here and get down, find another way down there. I imagine this is going to be the right way, because they've really explored the west, and there was no way to get down there.
Just amusing there, Game Boy decided to fight his way through a droll, and BT had a droll on his screen at the same time and ran away. It's just one of those little quirks about, you know, do you waste your time fighting these low-level enemies? They still don't have repel, which can be kind of infuriating when you're just trying to, like, traverse the map to find this last thing.
This is incredible how far to the east BT is going. Game Boy right on his tail. They're in the exact same place right now. Game Boy just a few steps south. And
yeah, so is there like a finger that goes like all the way down and around and back to the west? Like, you know what I mean? So that's here
what
we go.
Picturing.
Look at this. Look at what.
Yeah, look at how narrow it is. Far east side.
And this could maybe go all the way down and back under to the south. Which, like, how would you ever guess that unless you had like a perfect map in front of you? So, wow. And I think they're both coming to this conclusion now.
Unbelievable. They swept the entire Mid-South, and this appears to be the only way down.
Oh no, this is huge!
That is really huge.
It's such a long walk. Oh my goodness. And he's cursed. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and he doesn't have the armor either. Oh, what is he? Realistic.
Yeah, wow. Well, he does have MP still, so he can just heal more here. Oof.
Oh, imagine if he didn't have MP, if he hadn't stayed at that inn, he could have been completely stuck.
You're right, unless he had an herb or something. Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I don't remember there being any towns. There were all caves near the start, and there were a bunch of swamps like beyond that. So.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you see here now he's finally getting the harp. Obviously, he knows this is the harp, and I'm sure he knows the stones are at the bottom of the grave.
Right, but this is like another 30 seconds he's got to spend that BT already did.
BT is like, why isn't this working? And he just realized that he could go 4 steps over, and there's the armor in a corner. So BT is all set.
And he's going straight for the rainbow drop cave. Wow.
It's grind and go mode for BT.
Now, will he go right into Sharlock, or is he going to fight some red dragons? I kind of am starting to think he's going to go into Sharlock here. At least just to, like, fight around and see what he can fight in Sharlock.
I didn't look at Game Boy's stats at level 14 yet, but it doesn't look like it's comfortable at all.
No, he only gained 4 power, so it wasn't quite enough for power. No extra MP. So, yeah, it's not quite enough.
Only 13 heal mores, and it looks like about 18 attacks or so required to win. So with low agility, there's just no question they're not going to go at level 14.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where it's so borderline that you would love to actually fight your way down for 15, but fighting your way down when you have 68 defense power, not defense breaking anything, you know, red dragons with Dragon Lord Breath, it's not really that interesting of an option, you know. You're better off just doing the grind and then going in when you have the level, probably, in this case.
It's a very valid point. It all depends on what's in there. BT, it does appear like he's going to go into Sharlock. He's going to see now that there's no MP gain at level 14, and he just might try to gain all or part of that level going into Sharlock. It does look like he's going straight in, at the very least, to take a look at what's up there.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're fighting your way down to try and actually win, that means you can't really burn any MP. And you're not defense breaking the enemy, so taking, like, you know, 3 or 4 swings at some of these enemies, it's just really tough to conserve your MP when you're not defense breaking any enemies. They're up to 72 defense power now with the armor. Getting some decent enemies so far.
Now, BT is running from werewolves and axe knights.
Oh boy.
I'm starting to get scared that he's going to try and win at level 14, and that is definitely not going to work.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a little worried right now.
Well, it's pretty close if you can actually get there. I feel like he's a little short on stats, but it's not impossible, I don't think. But I think the odds are against it. I think maybe he knows he's facing Game Boy, and Game Boy's just really fast. He might just be gambling here and just going for it. Amazing development.
Wow, it's so borderline. Like, you know, no silver shield and low agility. There's no chance for double attacks, essentially.
Well, assuming he uses the death necklace, which, you know, not using it and fighting with 116 attack power is virtually never enough. So death necklace puts him up to 126, and that's 6 to 13 for an average of, you know, around 9.5. I don't know. Yeah. It's let's see, on Game Boy side we see 107 hit points. I don't think you can really count on any double attacks at all when you can get hit for 53 or something, 52, 53. Ugh.
It's a little frustrating because I really, like, BT is not the favorite to beat the Dragon Lord, and it's just scary because he has a little bit of a lead right now. Like, if he were to just grind to the next level, I think he would still pull out the win, but the window is closing for that possibility.
Yeah, it's the mind games. Like, maybe he just assumes he's behind when in fact he's actually ahead in terms of, you know, getting all this stuff done, and, you know, he could have taken a little bit of a lead with experience if he had fought some of these enemies, but now that he's running from everything, the experience lead is slipping away. Game Boy clearly knows that 14's not enough, and BT just takes a death, so... And he didn't gain any experience during those last 3 or 4 minutes. Ugh.
Now, chat has reminded me of something very important, which is that the fighter's ring is in Sharlock, and that would tip the scales in his favor. It actually is just barely enough to give him a slight edge over the Dragon Lord. But, I don't know, with the low agility still, I would probably err towards grinding just one more level. Even if he fights his way down, I would probably take that path myself. It'll be interesting to see how the death affects his next decision.
Yeah, that's a really heads-up observation by the chat, actually. When I was trying to figure out which chests were left, I had kind of thought about the fighter's ring about 30 minutes ago, and then, yeah, I didn't put that together that it has to be in Charlock now. Although, did BT get the very bottom chest in the grave? I thought he cast outside after getting the second to last chest, I think, was the stones.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I guess the fighter's ring could still be down there as well, but regardless, it's a pretty good chance that it is in the treasury. So, yeah, that is interesting, and maybe beeteas is thinking of that. Wow, and I feel it. Well, now he's starting to fight some enemies.
I am relieved to see him take a swipe, because I really think this is the right option. And even if he were to be able to see both situations, I still think that this is the right way to fight for a win here. And I think the next level is very likely to propel the Dragon Lord significantly in his favor. I imagine he's still going to try and pick up the ring out of this dive.
Yeah, and now it comes down to your knowledge of what did these Charlock enemies have. Are there enemies that you're hoping to see that are spamming the stop spell and spamming, let's say, the hurt spell? Because otherwise, without defense breaking these enemies, it's hard to fight your way down and actually not have to heal yourself. But as we see here, the werewolf does indeed have the stop spell and the baby breath. So that's like a perfect enemy that if he finds a lot of those, that would help.
And just one more thing worth mentioning, this is still one of the shorter experience levels, so it takes less time to reach. Just one more reason that it seems all the more tempting. And now BT going over 6,000 experience, he's less than 1,500 away. I mean, getting the level on the way down is really automatic right now, as long as the enemies keep being this easy.
I feel like this peninsula here is where the armor is, that Game Boy is at, but he just kind of took a U-turn like he's going to leave here. It's right around here.
Yeah, he still has to go up, right, and down on the far right edge, but he's very close to it.
Ah, okay, it just looks similar to where it actually is then, okay.
Yeah. BT having to run from blue dragons because of sleep, but he's still got plenty of options on the floors. Armored Knight is a little dangerous if he doesn't want to use a heal more, but again, if he's getting another level, he probably knows should be able to burn an extra heal more. He's going to try for the fight here, and unfortunately he was attacked, but he lives, and it dodged! An unfortunate death.
So 2 failed dives now for BT with only about 300 or 400 experience acquired along the way. That's just a couple of red dragon kills for what it's worth. If he had been grinding red dragons, that's like 2 red dragon kills that he's gained in the last 10 minutes or so.
And Chad is correct, BT actually doesn't have any herbs. It's not guaranteed that he needs him, but if he's going to go straight back into Charlock, he's going to need a little bit of a power gain to offset not having the herbs so that he can like burn a heal more against the Dragon Lord himself. And you see how quickly Game Boy is able to approach level 15, being able to use Hurt more on enemies like Armored Knights. So yeah, BT has a distance lead, but things are going to be very close, and of course, BT's situation is dangerous, not being able to lose any MP. It's going to be very interesting to see how the RNG plays this one out.
It's funny, there's an inn right on the other side of that swamp cave, and I sometimes wonder if you should walk all the way through Swamp Cave or if you should just cast outside, but of course then you're burning MP and then you have to go take an inn stop. So it probably works out about the same, but he's been choosing to walk his way all the way through Swamp Cave every time. And yeah, now he's fighting more werewolves. This is pretty much the best enemy that he can find in here. Unfortunately, they only give 95 experience, so it's going to take quite a few of them to get to 15.
It's a little bit of a tease that way. He would need 13 more, but of course he's found other possibilities. The Axe Knight he's fighting as well, and that's much better for him.
What's interesting too, as we saw Game Boy put the Death Necklace on early, BT has not done that. So he has got more HP to play with, he can take more damage, and he'll walk his way back up on these battles, but some of these battles, maybe a swipe that would kill an enemy is just barely not killing it once in a while, because he has 10 less attack power. So Yeah, I don't know. I prefer having the extra HP when I'm on one of these difficult dives. I think it gives you some more flexibility and less chance of having to heal yourself, but I don't know.
Here comes the armor for Game Boy, as it is on the screen right now, and it looks like he knows the exact square. He's going straight down to it. And this Star Wyvern is going to propel him to level 15, so it'll be interesting if he gets no agility and a lot of power from this level. His dive is going to be that much more dangerous with less HP as a result of the Death Necklace. Will it work out for him? 1 power, 1 response speed, and that makes me really worry about BT now.
Oh,
wow.
That is a really pathetic level up, quite honestly. And now what? Is Game Boy going to grind another level? That is so gross. Wow. Not even enough to... Oh, it is enough to give you 1 more heal more, actually. It was just enough to put him over the threshold for 1 additional heal more. Oof. Super close, though.
Now, if BT finds the Fighter's Ring, he will definitely take a shot at the Dragon Lord with 13 heal mores. And it will be enough to give him the edge. It's all a question of how he does against DL1 without those herbs. That's a little scary. He's using a Radiant here because he has extra MP.
Game Boy is pretty clearly done grinding. He's going in.
Yeah, he also knows that Fighter's Ring is in there. And even if he felt like he needed it, he could always go upstairs for it if that's what it takes, but, oh man, this is gonna be such an interesting...
Yeah, it feels like BT's just been caught in between here because you just need more experience to get this level that he feels like he needs, but it's not very easy to get with low defense power, low agility, and some of these enemies like Stone Men popping up here and there, but he's managing to take out some of these enemies without healing, which is not that easy. Now he's in the final zone.
And with all 13 of his heal mores, he finds another accident, which is another enemy he wants to see, but he's a little low on HP now, so he's going to run and do a little heal walking, as he is already very close to this level. Gets a nice, excellent move to take no damage against the next Axe Knight, and he is within 400 of that level. Game Boy accidentally blowing the Fairy Flute instead of the Rainbow Drop, but now he's on his way in. And you see, Game Boy has made the decision to grind a level on the way down. So Game Boy's going to be 1 level higher, and it all essentially comes down to how BT does on this dive. And of course, whether or not the Fighter's Ring is downstairs.
Game Boy has a lot fewer hit points for this dive.
That's right.
If he's going to be fighting enemies, this is not going to be easy either.
BT is 1 Axe Knight away from the next level, and here is that Axe Knight. But he's going to run away because he's a bit low on HP. He's trying to play it safe.
Oh, somebody in chat saying he has no keys. Could that be possible? That would be a disaster here.
Oh no!
Oh.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. The Fighter's Ring has eluded him. But he's going for it anyways. Here we go. And he doesn't have the knowledge of what he's going to get on the level up yet. So he's probably optimistic, thinking he's going to get a nice power gain. And it is not coming. Oh my gosh. This is really a crazy development here. Wow.
BT continuing to run away from everything and heal walk before he gets that level. Of course, he knows he can get it from the Spike Tile, but if he were to heal back up to 100, I'm sure he would take it from an Axe Knight before that battle happens. But yeah, that's not an option right now. He's got to consume all of those heal mores. He does have 1 free heal, but he doesn't want to use it before he has to.
Chat mentioning he has no herbs as well, so this is a bit of a YOLO dive here. He's just going for it. He's gonna have to try and heal walk his way before the mini-boss as well. We don't even know what it is yet. Ugh. This is getting dicey. He's gonna try and get the level before the mini-boss? No, he runs away from the wizard.
The wizard unfortunately dodging his first attack, so he couldn't finish it off on this. He had to... desperately trying to get down to those plains tiles. finally using a heal more now, just praying that the next level will be enough, but we already know there's only one power coming from it, unfortunately, and that's really bad luck at this stage.
So this is where that agility comes into play, just unable to run from simple Axe Knights and Wizards even on the first try sometimes, so he had to burn that heal more. He just, you know, can't rely on running from enemies like this. And here's the level, and I wonder what he's going to be thinking when he sees the numbers here.
With only 12 heal mores, I really don't like the chances here. But I imagine he's going to feel like he's got to try, and we might even see some hurt mores here.
Yeah, we also, you know, he wanted to at least know what the mini-boss was, and it happens to be a Stone Man here. So, yeah, is he going to go for it, or is he going to grind this Stone Man, among other things? He's still got the 12 heal mores even after casting Sleep, but you're right, these numbers do not add up for me, especially with no herbs right now. How are you gonna heal up in preparation here? This is, oh my goodness. And now that heal spell just cost him another heal more.
So it's 11 heal mores, and that's pretty well out of range. He can't talk to the Dragon Lord. He only has 37 HP. Very good chance of getting wiped out in the first round.
Yeah,
and he's thinking, but
in a previous race, I saw him just cast outside in this situation. Like you could end up spending 3 minutes fighting the Dragon Lord, and it's all wasted time if you think there's no chance. The other possibility, like you said, is just throw down a hurt more on your first turn, and see if you can go from there. Instead, he's gonna spend some time running and heal walking, which a lot of times this is just a lot of lost time. He can't run from these enemies. He's got no agility.
I mean, it's a shame that he doesn't get the chance to YOLO hurt more, but the fact that he's being forced out of there is kind of like a last chance in terms of now he has another chance to get back down there. But of course, Game Boy is now on the bottom floor. He is strong enough.
Oh! Game Boy not going for the fighter's ring here.
Yeah, again, Game Boy building up another level. I'm sure he's thinking that's going to be more than enough. He still has all 14 heal mores. I mean, he's already strong enough.
Yeah, still
level is just bonus.
1,000 points away. It does take a good 30 to 45 seconds to go in and grab what you need out of those chests. A lot of times you get 3 or 4 encounters, between going and coming, and then you got to open the chest. So it's a significant amount of lost time to do it. I guess if you feel like you absolutely don't need it, then he's choosing to skip it. So interesting. It would have to be a real MTI level, I guess, for this not to work out for him.
Yeah, it looks like Game Boy hasn't had any trouble grinding on the way down. I'm curious how these Armored Knights will affect things, because he's low, but he did manage to run away from that one. He only has 1 herb, actually. That's interesting, too. You know, if this next level offered 0 power, this could be a close battle for Game Boy as well.
Yeah, because he hasn't burned any magic, it must be that he's been using herbs all the way just to, in between these battles. Because again, he's not defense breaking anything either. So all these fights on the way down have been, he's taking damage along the way. Like, here's an example again.
Yeah, I did not realize he was burning herbs on the way down to try and preserve those heal mores. This could be really close. Again, he's going with the fact that the odds favor him getting significant strength, especially because the lower your strength is, the more every point makes a huge difference against the Dragon Lord. So if he gains like 6 power, it becomes like a free battle at this point. But he's got to keep all those heal mores, and it really just depends on that one stat. We're about to see what happens. He is using a hurt more here, so now he's down to 13 heal mores. And what are the rest of the enemies going to do to this grind? Both players diving so aggressively, it blows my mind.
So he's out of herbs, so he's in the same situation as BTs. He can't run from these enemies, and he's just trying to get those last few experience, but it's, he's going to have to burn a heal more, and he does. So he's another heal more down now, just hoping the level up is going to make the difference.
So down to 12 heal mores. Will he get any power from this level? We are about to find out. Now 5 power, I imagine, will be enough. Looking at the numbers right now...
Ooh, even the HP boost is helpful as well.
Absolutely.
So this is a pretty good situation for Game Boy.
He does need 14 attacks, but he has 12 heal more. And that little bit of extra HP, even with low agility, I mean, you know what? Their defensive power is surprisingly low, but still, the possibility for double attacks does exist. And it looks like he got through DL1 pretty conveniently.
Yeah, he can get hit for 52 on a physical. So here he's fighting at 52 right now, for example. And there's a physical, so it's only about a 2% chance that that's going to kill him, but, you know, he may end up being in that situation a few times here.
3 below average attacks so far for Game Boy. He's done 31 damage. $45. No doubles yet.
Seems to be pretty good rolls so far. I haven't been counting, but he's getting a lot of 14s. And, you know, his range is 8 to 16, right? So, yeah, not a lot of single-digit rolls. That's what he wants to avoid.
70 damage with 8 heal mores left. It is looking pretty good for him so far. There's the minimum. He's now done 78. He's not considering attacking it. Blame him.
Good chance for a double attack here, but no, it's a fire breath. But yeah, still at 51. He swings at 51, but it's a fire breath. Can't die from a fire breath there. So he gets the double attack. That should seal it.
Well, the double attack taken away immediately.
My goodness.
It's gonna be close.
Still haven't seen too many single-digit rolls, though, so... Remember,
mathematically, he's still the favorite. It just comes down to the... There's a 15, which is near max.
There is a range for Dragon Lord HP. It could be as high as 165. Closing in on it.
And another double attack point reached. He does decide to attack, but you see him hesitate. I think... And there it is, with 1 extra heal more, BT emerges victorious. Game Boy emerges victorious. GG Game Boy. You gotta give him credit, he made it through with the Death Necklace. He grinded a level down, he used all his herbs, he took some risks, and it all paid off in the end. GG Game Boy.
Yeah, the end game was interesting because it seemed like he was a little behind, but he went with the early Death Necklace strategy, and then he did go ahead and get an extra level on the regular grind, and then an additional level on the way down. He knew with that low agility that he didn't want to be in that situation that BT was in, so he said, well, if, you know, hopefully my opponent has some trouble if he's going to go in on this level, I'm just going to get the next level. So that turned out to be the prudent choice in this one. Congrats to Game Boy. Great race.
Yeah, some really tense moments and a lot of very close racing between the two. Things only diverged at the end, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. Dive. And it was just unfortunate for BT that he didn't get any strength on that last level when he was at the bottom. And Game Boy was fortunate for him. He got that, I think it was 5 additional power at level 16. That allowed him to win even without herbs. It was so close. So many razor close moments for both players. And now BT probably going to grind to level 16 on his way down here. And no, never mind, he's running. I think he only needs 1 more battle actually for level 16. But yeah, really well fought on Game Boy's part.
Yeah, that struggle to find the armor had to be a nervous moment for Game Boy. You just watch the clock ticking by sometimes. You know, he's normally so good with the normal counts, but of course, once you go to the second continent and you're relying on the princess, that geography just seemed to throw them both off, and it took a long time to find that armor, and that had to be stressful.
I mean, it was stressful just for me watching all the... so close. Absolutely. On both sides. Gameboy says he'll be in here in a couple seconds. BT has reached level 16, and seeing the 5 power gain, he knows that he's ready to go.
So just a reminder for those in chat, this is game 1 of a 3-game series. So BT is not eliminated at this point. Gameboy will have a 1-0 advantage in this series. And the next race in this series, I believe, is on Thursday night at 9 p.m. And there's going to be another one in your semifinal tomorrow night. Is that correct?
That is correct. So GG to you, Gameboy, who has arrived in chat with us.
Thank you very much. I have to admit that I am very fortunate because of that very poor start that I had, to be honest. I had a very poor start.
Yeah, describe what was poor about that start, because it looked like a challenging start in general. You had the gold, and then you had the low strength score. And so take us through how that went for you.
Well, let's start with Gameboy failing to get out of Erdrick's cave with the silver harp. That definitely should not have happened in that. That definitely should. I definitely should never have done that. And then it just. And then I was just struggling. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna find a town. We're gonna find a town." Now I'm finding 87,000 caves or whatever. It was no town, so I couldn't get a better weapon. So, fortunately, I was able to get some red slimes and get in that way. But by that time, it was like 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Before level 2, I'm not sure if it was quite that long, but it did seem to be kind of a slower start for you. You got a pretty good power boost on level 2, but trying to remember back, I think that you are correct. I think BT got a slightly better start, but he was looking around for a town for a while as well. He may have been about 1 level up on you in the early levels there. At some point along the way, you learned Hurt, and that helped him. He learned that a little bit before you, I believe, as well. So you're playing catch up, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I probably felt like it was worse from your end, just because it did take a long time to get to level 2.
I'll tell you this much: as soon as I hit 130 HP, I instantly put that death necklace on. I was like, because I still felt like I was woefully behind. So I was like, I had to make an aggressive play, and that's why I put it on as early as I did.
And so, what are the factors for you with that decision? Did you, at that point, had you seen both of the spike tiles and they were both red dragons, or were you gearing up for a red dragon grind with the sword, and you wanted more attack power, or was it just kind of overall like you just wanted to be able to? What was the decision behind that?
Yeah, overall, I just wanted to blow everybody away as fast as I could, and I mean, when you add that 10 extra attack power, you're saving, like, I don't know, you're probably averaging about a half round faster each fight every time you go at it. So that was my thought process.
Yeah, in case you wanted to fight your way down for a level or something like that. I assume if there was like an Axe Knight grind or something available, that maybe you wouldn't have done that. If I don't know. Yeah, that was interesting. You did put it on quite early, and we see just now BT is putting it on as well. So you put it on, I don't know, 20 or 25 minutes before him. So that was an interesting play.
Yeah, I'm trying to read through chat. I'm a little bit...
One of the other things that looked like it might have been stressful on your end is it looked like it took a long time to find the armor just because of the way the geography was. Trying to get to 100 South. It was a struggle, it looked like.
I actually felt like searching right at Cantlin just to see if that was 100 South and 2, and what was it, 2 West. Of course it wasn't, but good thing I didn't do that, because I would have been wrong about 1,000 times before becoming correct.
2.
Yeah, I think the way it worked out was that BT had found Hawksness first, and you had found the coordinates first. But you ended up finding Hawksness anyway, just kind of looking for the armor. So then you ended up just checking over there anyways. But yeah, it looked it was interesting because BT decided to dive a level before you, and had a couple of failed dives along the way. So what was your decision process for when to go? Because you were dealing with quite a low agility score and some borderline stats.
Yeah, and that was why I decided to fight on the way down. It was like, and I was very fortunate to see a lot of Axe Knights and a lot of Wizards, and unfortunately, the only zone with those dreaded blue dragons was in the middle. And fortunately, I only ran into a couple of them. One of them was a very nasty pickoff that almost ended my first dive right there.
Yeah, one of those you did end up taking a death, right? And then you were cursed, and then you were dying, trying to walk through the swamp. This was before you went into Sherlock, I guess. But it was, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that definitely fell under oops. And then I played the fairies flute instead of putting down the rainbow drop.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
They both make a bunch of noise.
14.
I was definitely nervous when that death necklace came on, but it looked like Sherlock was pretty tame, just with armored knights on the bottom, no red dragons as far as I saw. And that seemed to work out really well for you. You were also pretty aggressive using herbs on the way down, preserving your heal mores, but again, once you got that power, it was just enough. And unfortunately, BT, by the way, just got attacked for 51, and that was enough to finish him off with 3 heal mores left. He must have been really close to the end.
Yeah, I noticed in your fight, Game Boy, you had that decision to make a couple of times. I believe Dragon Lord could have hit you for up to 52. I think you swung at 52 once. I think maybe even 51 another time. It's a small chance, but as we just saw, it happens once in a while.
Yeah, that was...
Lord could have hit you for up to 52. I think you swung at 52 once.
There was
I
one
think maybe
time
even
where
51
I had
another time.
I was like, all
it's
right,
a small
I got
chance,
the double
but
attack.
as we
I'm
just
ready
saw,
to go.
it
I'm
happens
gonna win
once
this
in a
thing,
while.
and then I had to heal more twice in a row.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing while that happened.
Because there was one time where I was like, all right, I got the double attack. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna win this thing, and then I had to heal more twice in a row. Like, yeah, good game, BT.
GG, Game Boy.
That's a stinky way to lose. I hate it when I see a 51 attack like that. That's just.
No, that's not even the worst part. That's 100% on me. I have 25 MP. I just wanted to understand my luck was consistent through the entire seed. I had a armored knight down to 1 HP, and I had like 16, and I swung and missed, and he swung and attacked. It was very exciting for me because he could have just healed himself.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, I didn't know armored knights had heal until late in my dive.
Oh, I had them on the world map and in the swamp marsh cave, like my entire run. I couldn't get away from them.
Yeah, my run luck was surprisingly decent. But the one very annoying thing were those red dragons. And once again, I believe this is the 3rd race in a row, I got a near Super Famicom red dragon. For the 3rd race in a row, I got stop spell on the red dragon. But unfortunately, this time, I couldn't stop spell them. It was like, what, maybe a 50... I think it was worse than a 50-50 chance to stop spell them.
Yeah, that's never a good idea. I found the fairy flute before the armor, for sure. That was an exciting fight, too.
Yeah, same here. I actually was looking for Breckenary in hopes to find a silver shield, and I just never found it.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't even take my gold out of the initial continent. It was bad. I could have bought a full plate way sooner, but I greeted my remaining 7,000 and then lost it twice, and then got back up to 3,000 and picked a full plate up on my way to Cantlin. The only way I could beat you in that seed is if for some reason you sold your death necklace, but there's no reason to do that.
No, I actually equipped the death necklace as soon as I hit 130 HP, which was level 13 or 14, something like that.
I needed the survivability with the everything that had Dragon Lord breath out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
You should have been surely punished for that.
Yeah, with all these with all that monsters, I definitely was heal mooring like from 60 to 100 or something like that for most of that journey. So that definitely was a risk of using the Death Necklace early, is that your MP consumption is much higher. For that very reason, I was running into race inspectors all the time, and that wasn't fun. But I was, well, it is fun, but you know, very challenging to try to get around that. So
yeah, it was like, Droll Magi, can I fight you? Oh, Dragon Lord breath. Ah, Spectre, can I fight you? No, Dragon Lord breath. Go back to start. And then I was like, Droll Magi, like, no. And then Druin Lord. I'm like, I'm not even gonna figure this one out. I just ran from the first Druin Lord until I die, and I've power to one-shot him.
Druin Lord had regular attack, I think, but I only ran to one Droll Magi, and it did its DL2, and I was like, okay, I'm not even giving you the hot time of day. Hurt more, get out of here.
No, I didn't have hurt more or enough health to survive when I started. I was probably in Charlock for 30 minutes when you finished.
Oh, wow.
One of the things that was fun to see how it was going to play out was that after going through Swamp Cave, BT managed to explore a bit further and found Rimbledar fairly early and got access to keys. And I think Game Boy, you took a death and then decided to explore the first continent a little longer, but that led you to the sword. So then for a while you had the sword, but he had keys, and so it was kind of fun to see how that was going to work out. But the whole time you were fairly even for experience. So even though you were doing different things, it kind of seemed like it was all evened out until the decisions at the end on when to dive and when to, you know, keep grinding for more. BT took a little bit more of an aggressive approach and had a couple of unfortunate dives.
And when to run out of keys so you can't pick up a fighter's ring, so you can't win.
Yeah.
That was
the fighter's ring? Where was the fighter's ring, by the way?
In the Charlock Treasury or the bottom of Garenham.
Okay, I didn't go to the bottom of Garenham. As soon as I saw the Stones of Sunlight, again, I thought I was behind, so I went outside and quickly completed the rest of my.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the right way to do it.
Game Boy, I assume that's also why you chose to not look for the fighter's ring in the treasury. You just felt like time was of the essence, and you were just banking on a good strength gain on that level that you were working towards, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
My plan became to step walk off the damage in front of the Dragon Lord and then hurt more him, but Armor Knight said no. He's like, you have to have 0 HP at all times.
I actually was doing really well until close to the end, and then I ran out of herbs, and then I was like, okay, Armor Knight's going to go against me. I don't have a lot of agility. I'm probably not going to run away, so hurt more, attack, get out of here. And then I had to face the Stoneman at the mini-boss tile, and then fortunately I got a free run to the Dragon Lord, so and he cast Stop Spell, so I had 98 HP, and he didn't pick me off, so...
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I didn't have any herbs either. I didn't buy a single herb that seed. I thought my heal more and tank of HP would be fine for all circumstances, but the last 5 levels we didn't increase MP that much, or any.
I'm reading a question from Zarnex. Does Game Boy realize that he was behind? And I was like, yeah, I had a very poor start. I went into Erdrick's cave. I did pick up the silver heart, but I couldn't get out. So I knew right there that was like, ugh.
I did my very first mapless, torchless Charlock, and I was very proud of myself.
Oh,
yeah,
nice
it seemed
one.
to go smoothly. Unfortunately, the other aspects of Charlock, where it was, you were right that if you had access to the fighter's ring, I think it would have shifted the battle in your favor with the heal mores that you had. So yeah, the math was really close there, and because attack power was lower, the fighter's ring becomes even more powerful for all those rounds. and I think it would have given you an edge. It was a shame you couldn't get it, and then just really unfortunate luck with the enemies around the Dragon Lord. And the race was still very, very close at that point.
Gotta do some math here. Hang on.
I like math.
Me too.
I can't do math with push to talk. You'll have to fill the dead air.
That's fine. Yeah, it
Well.
looks like with the ring, you would have needed 15 attacks on average to beat the Dragon Lord. And so with 13 heal mores and a little bit of extra HP, I think the edge would have been on the player. Despite being able to take 51, 52 or so damage from physical attacks, that wouldn't happen very often. And again, with the extra HP, I think it would have been okay. So I think a slight edge to the player at level 15 with the Fighter's Ring.
I needed 3 herbs to have more than like 30% chance to pull that off.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that was the plan the whole time, was get down there, bring as much MP as possible, and then level up if needed, and win. And then I let 20 minutes go by, and then Game Boy finished.
Well,
Another part that seemed kind of challenging from my end was the medium levels, the level like 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. You guys were making pretty good exploration progress around the map, but it seemed like even with the sword, you didn't have a lot of hit points for a while. So a lot of the enemies, like green dragons and axe knights and stuff that were popping up, were like two-shotting you guys. And if you tried to fight it, they were two-shotting you. You were taking a lot of overworld deaths. Or if you tried to run, you just didn't have any agility and you couldn't run. So yeah, it seemed like both of you guys took a lot of deaths, like in that range of the game, where maybe that also contributed to both of you guys feeling like you were behind. I don't know.
It's very deceptive when you have a lot of HP but no defense. So I'm running around with a large shield and a chainmail and probably 35 agility. So I can't actually block a hit, and the HP is super deceptive.
Yeah, well, and before that is what I'm thinking. When you had about 60 hit points, like around level 7 or so, it's just, you know, a fair number of enemies did have Dragon Lord Breath, and that was enough to one-shot you guys. And then if you ran into an Arbor Knight or something, they were pretty much two-shotting you. Even though you had heal more, you know, if they can get you in 2 shots, it was, you know, there wasn't any way to deal with it. So it's like,
I was gonna sit
you're
back
taking a
and
lot of
just
deaths.
heal more hurt that guy, but fortunately he killed me, so I didn't find out that he had to heal in that attempt.
Yeah, there was a level where you finally gained like 23 hit points or something. At that point, it changed everything for all those battles, because you could out-heal those enemies from that point forward. But for a little while, it seemed like you both stalled out with the experience while you were running around trying to find stuff.
No, on a positive note, those Rogue Scorpions and Wraith Knights and Demon Knights were all... After we had the sword, the Demon Knights, Wraith Knights, and Rogue Scorpions were good. Before the sword, even though Game Boy had it, I didn't, but I was hurting the Rogue Scorpions, and everything was pretty good in the mid-game. It's just, how do you decide when you stop grinding, or if you settle down and stop exploration for a little bit?
Yeah, I was royally struggling to find a place to get points, that's for sure. So, oh yeah, Lorgan mentioning in chat how I saw like 20 metal slimes and I just couldn't get the kill on any of them. Like the first metal slime I ran into, I was level 4 in just outside the castle, and if I knew if I had gotten that metal slime, and I got him to 2, and if I got that 3rd hit, I would have been right back in the game. But alas.
Yeah, you definitely would have had a lead with that, and I kept remarking to everyone how, I mean, the second metal slime was pretty similar, getting 2 damage in before it ran away, and how many kept popping up. I don't think BT had seen one in about the first half hour or so. At least I didn't notice one on his side. But,
it was my 3rd successful trip through the swamp cave when I finally encountered one, when I was trying to get the Rymaldar on purpose, and it was not happening.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to head on out, but once again, good game, BT. I look forward to competing against you on Thursday night.
Yeah, GG, get ready for a double header if required.
Yeah, that race was so good, I think we need a rematch, guys.
You
Well,
got it.
Your wish is my command.
So that will take place Thursday evening, starting Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, right back here on Randomania. Meanwhile, tomorrow there's Nest Cardinality versus Mr. Holmes, Game 2 of their semifinal match, also at 9 p.m. Eastern. The same idea both nights. If the score is tied 1-1, they will immediately play the third game of the semifinal to determine who's going on to the finals. And that's all coming up within the next 2 days. It should be a pretty exciting couple days, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you very much to our runners for a very entertaining night tonight. Thank you for Math Girl for restreaming, and Cyberdark for taking care of the tracking details. Thank you to Up2NG for providing me with a lot to talk about with him as we analyze the race going forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. For all of us at Randomania, thank you all so much for joining us. Look forward to the next 2 days. And it sounds like BT wants a public race as well, so we might get into that tonight. So there's lots more to enjoy. Until next time, which will be tomorrow and then Thursday. Well, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful night, and thanks for joining us.